So, this says Gacha content is dying. That is a very, very short and concise title. It's made by CroWMa. I know who CroWMa is. I've seen them feature, well, I say featured, like chatting, I think in V's chat, is it? And maybe some other chats too. I think they're cool. They've been cool to me. It's got 88 views, 19 likes, 3 dislikes. So again, seems like people agree with this, and I just wanted to kind of, you know, have a look, see what it's about, you know, see what they're talking about Gacha content creation, because obviously I'm a Gacha content creator, you know, so I obviously know quite a bit whenever it comes to the Gacha content creation scene, and it's very interesting to see, you know, what CroWMa thinks about this, and whether, you know, Gacha content creation is dying. Because so far, from what I've seen, at least, you know, before getting into the video, I don't think it's dying too much. I think there's like a kind of certain ongoing thing where it doesn't really get to a point where it becomes like irrelevant. I definitely think there's a point where people just keep, you know, churning out reacts, churning out this, churning out that, and it does okay. But I think maybe it feels like it's dying at the moment just because, you know, we don't have any of those new releases with Xenozone Zero or Wuthering Waves or anything like that. And we're still waiting for that next release. And that's probably why it feels like it's dying, because we, you know, we're back to regularly scheduled content, which some people may find a little bit boring. But let's see what CroWMa has to say about this.
So, what's next? This is why I haven't been uploading for a bit, because I absolutely agree with the sentiment. I think the state and the inherent interest of Gacha is at a point where the quality of content has stooped.
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is kind of like the bottom tier of Gacha content at the moment. Like, this is, you know, at a core, live stream reactions, trailer reactions, just reactions to the official content of the game is going to be something that's going to keep the Gacha games going and keep the Gacha game content going. Because again, it's always going to be there and it's always going to happen. It's just, you know, big events, new games, kind of drama going on. The community is more like kind of spontaneous. So you do have kind of down periods like this, which, yeah, you end up with like 15 million like reactions to live streams and stuff like that.
Down to a low that's really hard to actually make something out of. Everything feels the same, there's little to no variety, most of the games are in good spots, and it's like we're on the smooth sail, but nothing is really happening. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And I wanted to just talk about
it's
why
not a bad thing,
this is happening. I only have a few notes of like the points I want to go over, otherwise I'm just doing everything off the top of my head, with some minimal editing so I can actually push out the video in time. So the first one I wanted to go over was Gacha content itself, and I believe this is the most simple one to explain, because it's pretty much just, what is there to talk about when you only have a few days worth of content to cover, and if nothing else is happening, then how far can you really go before you just drag out a subject for so long it's just monotonous to listen to?
I definitely think that is an issue of a lot of content creators that cover one game. You kind of run out of stuff to talk about. Obviously, if you know on my main channel, I cover a lot of stuff to do with Wuthering Waves, and sometimes I throw in a Genshin Impact video or a Honkai Star video or any other kind of gacha game video, and that's mainly because I've got nothing to talk about. So obviously, you know, a lot of other content creators have this issue too, of kind of not being able to have enough content to push out, but that's not the gacha game's problem. You know, obviously they can't be pushing out content every single day for us to talk about. Now, obviously there is still quite a lot of stuff to talk about if you can actually go out your way to find it, and I think that's what a lot of content creators need to do, is actually go out of their way to find this kind of content and to find this kind of, you know, important topic information, whether that's coming up with an idea in your head, being like, you know, oh, I have an issue with this mechanic in the game. Or, you know, if I do, you know, more news stuff, I look around, look at some Google News articles, look at some other videos to see what kind of news is going on that maybe I've missed. And then I go on to, you know, make extra content that isn't just like reporting on the official kind of Wuthering Waves announcements. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, they do kind of get stuck whenever it comes to, you know, having one game, and that's why I do like to vary it up whenever I cover a lot of different games. I think, you know, covering Genshin Impact stuff, covering Honkai Star stuff, covering Xenozone Zero stuff is very important to keep your channel alive, because we've seen it with Genshin, you know? There's a lot of Genshin YouTubers at the moment, and especially guide YouTubers, that have stuck with Genshin, stuck with, you know, the whole kind of Genshin content creation sphere, and never really left it, and now they're stuck because they've got nothing else to do, and they didn't really get out while they could. And that's what a lot of people are doing now. They're getting out while they could. You've seen Artonacy, you've seen Hex Juice. They're making content on different games, on different, you know, stuff, not even games. You know, Artonacy's doing his stuff with the KSI thing, Hex Juice is doing his stuff with pretty much everything. And again, they're doing really, really good at it. And that's because they got out early. And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do. Now, I did try to do that at first, but the thing is, I just love gacha games too much. So, yeah, that's kind of a sad thing to say, but I do. It's real. I can't really make content on other stuff. I don't really care about it. But maybe I will in the future. Maybe I'll react to some other stuff on the second channel. But the thing is, a lot of these people have adapted their content and kind of gotten out of the gacha sphere because they know that it's dead half of the time. Now, obviously, you know, there is content every now and again, and it's really, really great whenever there is content, but whenever there isn't, it does suck, and you have people feeling like this, saying gacha content creation is dying. And that's why you get a lot of comments, well, at least me, I get a lot of comments saying, oh, Wuthering Waves is going to reach end of service soon, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's just a period in time where the game doesn't have any new updates, doesn't have anything else going on, and it's not just a Wuthering Waves thing. It's to do with Genshin, it's to do with Zenless, it's to do with Honkai, it's to do with literally every gacha game in the market. They're all going to have down patches. They're all going to have, you know, moments where they don't have a big update, which, again, people shouldn't complain so much. I think that, you know, people are getting way too doomery about it. And if you're a content creator, then just cover another game that has something going on, because they have different schedules. You know, you can go to a different game because they're gonna be releasing something else while, you know, your game may not be releasing as much. So you go over there, do some more content, and then you can come back to it. And I think that's, you know, how people should really do it.
Or discuss. Like, you can only really talk about something for so long before you just start going in circles. And I don't think it helps that in terms of gacha game content itself, it's in a cycle. So depending on whether or not something is the same or feels the same, it's gonna feel like it's the same discussion.
Yeah, there is a kind of cycle to it.
Not only that, I feel like it really hurts the variety of content you can actually make.
But I think the thing is as well, you don't have to follow that cycle, you know? There is a cycle which a lot of people do follow, and maybe your favorite streamer, favorite YouTuber, whatever, does follow it, and, you know, maybe it does good for them. Some of them are, you know, big enough where they can just follow that cycle and just get the views from reacting to a trailer or something, and that's fine. But the people who are maybe smaller, or maybe want to do more videos on gacha or whatever, they definitely need to kind of break that cycle and get out of it, because, again, you're going to end up getting bored and trying to find the most kind of niche and boring topics which no one's going to watch. And that's why a lot of people do experience a lot of viewership loss over time, because, you know, they're going to be covering a lot of really important stuff, but later on they start covering less topics that people care about, which means, you know, less people are going to watch. And that's the problem that a lot of people get into. Then they start to panic that, you know, oh, maybe my content isn't good enough or something like that, when it's just the case of people don't care about what you're talking about anymore. And it will, you know, go full circle whenever a new update comes out.
It doesn't really help that the state of most gacha games right now are generally pretty good.
Yeah.
Besides one. And even besides Genshin Impact, I feel like most people have just given up.
Has been improving there.
I was really hopeful about what Natlan could bring to the table in terms of Genshin Impact and its future and so on. I was also painfully aware about what it could also do, which was hurt the game in the long run even more than they're already doing themselves. Despite the positive changes, that was about
Thank you for the... Whoa, 5 subs. Thank you. Oh my god, everyone's got subs now.
5.1 offered nothing.
Wait.
And if 5.2 doesn't deliver, I think it's generally safe to say that, like, Genshin Impact, they failed to do what they wanted to do, which was bring back their older players and entice people to actually play the game again with the new changes and the promise of quality of life improvement that players have wanted for years. They did it in one patch and that was it. It was a one and done, and it feels like they're not even trying at this point. The game will still make money. It's obvious as to why. The game is still good in quotations.
I think, like,
I do believe that the game itself
what is going on?
Has significantly lost its appeal.
No, I definitely think that Genshin has this kind of thing now where a lot of people are so invested in the game that no one's going to quit it. I mean, some people have quit it, but, like, the majority of people won't quit it, so they're still going to keep making money no matter what kind of update comes out. And obviously this has been said so many times by so many people. You know, this is kind of thing that happens, but yeah. Hello, just a tune a stream, I immediately get subs. Nice, welcome. At least you don't get ads now. That's, but yeah, no, I definitely think that Genshin is, it's just kind of got that thing where it's got people kind of caught in that sunk cost fallacy, and it just gets worse and worse. And yeah, people were just kind of stuck with it.
To long-term players, and a good portion of long-term players are kind of just gone. Like, they're done with the bullshit. And just saying what I fully believe, the only people that are really truly enjoying Genshin Impact like a lot are new players. And that's it. A lot of new Impact players are just straight up blindsided. Just because they have so much content to do and so many new things to do and learn about the game. But eventually, once they do run out...
To be fair, I do get excited about some kind of things that go on in Genshin. Like, obviously, I don't get so excited about exploring, like, a new area or something like that. It kind of gets boring. Kind of, you know, like, oh god, I gotta collect, like, 5 million chests. That gets boring, but I definitely enjoy the kind of character side of it still, and building a new character. I'm currently building my Zealanen, because I thought Zealanen looked great, and I thought that, you know, maybe this is going to be a character that kind of gets me back into the game. And I've actually been somewhat excited to kind of, you know, farm for some of our materials and, you know, get to to a level where she's good enough to use into a team. So I definitely think that they do have some like kind of aspects which are exciting, and there was stuff like other events too which I was very excited about. And yeah, I definitely think that Genshin have kind of improved on making you excited for some things. And even like with Fontaine and stuff, Fontaine was great. I was excited to play the story for that. But since Natlan, it is going a little bit downhill. I did get very bored of the story and kind of like stopped halfway through. I do need to finish it to see if it actually got any better. But again, yeah, it does seem to be going downhill a little bit. But I do think there is some still interesting stuff going on in Genshin.
Out of that, and they've played, they will eventually start seeing the blatant flaws with the game. And you literally can't even tell them this, because certain lessons need to be learned through experience. You can learn from other people's mistakes. That was my motto. I learned from other people's mistakes because, well, I saw what the outcome was, and it wasn't a positive one. So why would I ever do somebody else's mistake when I can just learn their lesson? But the problem with that motto is that it doesn't always work for everything, and you need to learn the hard way. And I learned the hard way through Genshin Impact, and I learned that these devs do not care. Even when they seem like they do care, they only care
I love
for
that
a
clip.
little
The way crying has got to be the most iconic thing going on in Hoiverse. He's like, oh, please keep playing our game, we'll do better. And then he releases the 5.1 update with one story change and like, I think like Nahida's birthday event is like, oh great. So you still want us to keep playing, huh?
Just to get you back in. And the cycle continues, and you realize why aren't changes coming, and then the changes come, and then they don't come again for another year. And you can't really learn that lesson until you actually go through it yourself. You can listen to a wise man's... I think that's
like more of an issue of Genshin Impact too. I think that's what, you know, he's trying to get at there, is that Genshin Impact do kind of make a lot of changes, but they only do it like every single year or something, and it's not even like to the level that we want it to be. Whereas I think with Wuthering Waves and stuff, they are improving on kind of, you know, listening to people early on and actually making those changes early on, which is great for the community, because obviously people will be like, oh, devs listened, devs did this, devs did that, and obviously it builds up a lot of hype for the game, and people just get more excited for Wuthering Waves than they do for, you know, other games like Genshin Impact.
Words, but if you don't understand the meaning of those words, then what reason do you have to take those words to heart? And the people that don't understand those words, you know who they are. And even though I do think this video is pretty bad, and my follow-up video could have been better as well, in terms of how Natlan actually came out to be, besides one point, I was right about everything. And even more so in my follow-up video. And this kind of leads into my next point, which I genuinely do believe is probably the largest reason as to why gacha content is in the state that it is in right now. It's drama. Or more lack thereof. Whether you like it or not,
lack of drama
is entertainment. And a really good entertainment.
I mean, I think there's been some good drama. I mean, I wouldn't really say there hasn't been any drama. There's been stuff with Gacha and stuff recently. I literally covered that on my last video on my main channel. Again, that's been some pretty, you know, nice drama. I mean, there hasn't been anything between creators, and I think that's actually a good thing. I think drama between, like, companies and stuff like that is better, because it's, like, it doesn't really hurt anybody, you know? If it's someone being like, oh, Mihoyo did this, and people were angry at them, I definitely think that's better drama than, you know, the whole Atsu stuff. Obviously, we had the whole Atsu stuff, and that was terrible, because obviously it affected him, and Atsu is, you know, I'm not saying that Atsu was in the right at all, but obviously he was affected by it, Tectone was affected by it, literally everyone involved was affected by it, including Brax and some other people, and obviously it turned out very bad. So I don't wish that there was more drama in the community, but I do wish there was more, you know, stuff going on between companies, but we have seen quite a bit of it recently. Obviously, recently we've had the 80,000 people in China actually signing a petition to make Ororon a 5-star character, which is absolutely insane. So, you know, maybe, you know, there's some more stuff that comes out for that, but maybe it's just like not enough people are talking about it and not enough people are instigating it. And I think one of the big reasons, as much as I hate to admit it, is Tectone. I think Tectone, whenever he was at his, you know, well, not his peak, but one of his peaks a couple of months ago, you know, he was reacting to every single video on the face of the earth. He was causing a lot of drama with a lot of people, and it was very entertaining. I do agree. Drama is quite entertaining. And obviously now he's kind of stepped back a bit, you know, he did a subathon and he barely touched many gacha games, which I think, honestly, is a good thing. Yeah, I think that, you know, a good thing in the sense of, like, his kind of mental health, not in a good thing that I don't like. I do like Tectone, to make that clear. But, like, I think it is a good thing for, like, you know, the community to have someone there kind of covering a lot of this stuff. And yeah, Tectone kind of went a little bit ghost mode on that kind of stuff. He's kind of getting back into it now, but he went a little bit kind of ghost mode on that kind of stuff, and there just has been a little bit of a lack of it, but I think he's picking it up a bit more, and, you know, obviously he had a lot of fun with Honkai Star, I think it was, the other day, so it seems like, you know, it's going to pick up a little bit, and I think that, you know, he is a big reason why it happens, but he's not the only reason. So maybe we'll see some more drama, maybe we won't, but there is still plenty that is going around.
Because there's nothing better than watching two people endlessly disagreeing and bickering about pointless stuff. But why does that matter so much for something like gacha games? Well, that was because, like I said, it was debating about pointless stuff. And the thing is, before a certain incident, there was always someone to disagree with. And there was a bunch of disagreeable people in the gacha space. And not only that...
By the way, have you seen the current office ads? I think I saw a little bit of it, but I just saw a lot of PGR stuff. So I wasn't too interested. Is there a lot of Wuthering Waves stuff in there? I don't think I really saw much of it.
A bunch of fucking people following these content creators, so they end up sharing those incredibly disagreeable points of views as well. And when a particular rat and a particular green slime got outed for being absolutely mentally unstable people,
I love those two.
Well, was there anything else, like, significantly that happened afterwards? No, because we basically outed the people that attracted the mentally unstable people, because we...
I mean, there is still stuff going on, though. I definitely think that it has kind of, you know, gone down a bit, but there is still these kind of, you know, a Hoyo shield, Kuro shield mentality going on, which I don't really like at all. I think, you know, I don't really want that to happen. I hate it whenever people kind of comment on other people's posts saying they're a shill of a certain company. It makes no sense at all. I don't see why people do it. But I definitely think there is still that kind of rivalry there, and there's some like mentally ill people out there who still kind of go on the internet and do that kind of stuff. But it definitely has kind of, you know, lessened now that Atsu and Enviosity are less vocal, and just, you know, what Enviosity is just doing his own thing now, getting his videos disliked to like oblivion, and Atsu's just nowhere to be seen anymore. But again, I think it is still happening. I think you just got to kind of look into it a little bit deeper now. And I think a lot of people are just like less public about this kind of drama.
We managed to expose that they are mentally unstable, so their followers either switched sides, went into hiding, or they went on the attack on other people's streams, made themselves look like idiots, and earned themselves a one-way ticket to the...
To be fair, that's some pretty good drama though, you know? I kind of like those like crazy people coming into people's comments.
Gacha Gaming subreddit, where all the exiled click lovers and mid-pickers now reside. And if you know anything about
to be fair, thinking about that with r/Gacha Gaming as well, there is still this kind of whole community of people that hate Wuthering Waves and stuff, which I think could spark some future drama and stuff, and it still sparks drama now of people, you know, saying, you know, obviously r/Gacha Gaming taking down a trailer of Wuthering Waves on their own subreddit. I definitely think that could be considered drama, so I don't think it has gone down too much, but again, maybe they're saying it like that. Well, drama is now kind of hiding in their own Discord server. Yeah, exactly.
You already know what kind of reputation this place now holds. And why this entire incident did matter was because, well, the gacha space was filled with these mentally unstable people that were considered to be in the right. But if you simply just take your time to dissect their points, you realize how disagreeable these points are. And people speaking their minds and speaking with constructive points simply just got bombarded with hate comments and shit just because they decided to speak facts. And I thank my favorite Baldy for making this gacha space a little bit less volatile. Thank you, Tim. After all that shit was done, like, now we're in a space where most of the people agree with each other, and people generally, like, respect each other.
To be fair, I think that's kind of a good thing, though, you know? I kind of prefer a kind of environment whenever people actually do agree with each other on this kind of thing. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I do kind of like a peaceful kind of getcha scene. Now, obviously, I do like a little bit of drama here and there, but, you know, it's kind of peaceful now, and it's quite nice. No zero-tier drama around, only C to D or D ones,
a lot more. And when you make a lot of content based around calling out these stupid people, then, well, if there's less stupid people, there's less content.
Yeah, true.
Or, well, the stupid people are still there, but they refuse to engage with the content because they know what will happen. They'll make themselves look like retards. And if there's one fact everybody knows, humans in nature don't like being wrong about things.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to admit when they were wrong. But any mature person can admit their wrongdoings and say that it's their fault. And what I find sad is that a lot of people just kind of want people to admit their own mistakes in a genuine way, where you can feel like they are genuinely sorry about what they did and they realize the weight of the situation. But some simply refuse to admit their wrongdoings and they just blame it on something else.
Don't do that to EO, man.
Apologize. And why I find this sad is because there's a thing called forgiveness. Nobody is perfect and nobody wants to admit it genuinely.
Yeah,
and unironically, I genuinely do believe that this discourse did change the direction of gacha content for the future.
It definitely did. It sparked a lot of other people that were talking about drama and stuff, including me. But like, you know, it definitely sparked a lot of people who did do more like gacha kind of content, and it kind of brought it more up to the kind of main, I don't know, the main stage, I guess. Because obviously we had people that didn't know about Atsu or Genshin or anything like this, and a Mugen video, which, he literally just showed off there on the screen, got 1.9 million views, and I don't think all of them are Genshin players. So it kind of brought a little bit more awareness to the Gacha community too. I think a lot more people got involved in it as well. Obviously, as I was saying, recently, as I was saying, Artonacy and also Hexjuice, who have now moved on from Gacha content, but they, went into Gacha content around this kind of time, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after. I don't really know the kind of time frames, But again, they kind of got involved around that kind of time. And it's interesting to see, a lot of people come to this space because of this stuff, and also a lot of people leaving the space because of this stuff. And it has, changed the kind of space overall.
Content for the future. Once Atsu and Envy was out, name any huge gacha drama that happened afterwards that actually had some consequences about certain content creators afterwards.
Yeah, really there's nothing really.
Unironically, with those two being gone, it leaves a huge gap. Why do you need to try to prove a point?
We need a him, guys. Not the r/game, but just the Gacha gaming community needs a him who's going to bring down every good Gacha content creator and be the villain in this. I don't think they do need a him. I'll be real. Like no joke, actually. I don't think that the Gacha community needs someone that will be a big content creator. I'll do it right now. You're gonna be the him. He's gonna be the him of Gacha gaming. He's gonna take down everyone. Yeah. But no, I don't think there's any need for anybody to do that. Obviously, people just have their own opinions now, and I think a lot of people do respect a lot of other people's opinions. But yeah, I don't think there is really going to be a him for a long time. There's not going to be a guy that blows everything up, unless maybe Atsu comes back or Enviosity comes out with something. There's not going to really be anything that's going on, at least for a couple of years, because this stuff takes time to brew. We got to be real. Now, as much as I don't want it to happen, it does take time for it to brew, and it will eventually, explode, and it will go, like, as we saw with Atsu. What are we watching? We're watching a video called Gacha Content is Dying. It does explode at some point, and we've seen that with Atsu. Atsu, for years, has been, kind of manipulating people and kind of manipulating Hoyoverse and stuff like that, with getting them to, host parties and not invite people, which was something that brewed up over a long time, until obviously Brexaphone, had enough and kind of called him out, and then everything else, Tectone came in and everything like that, and then it all got kind of, a bit over the top. And I think, that's what kind of makes a good drama. Not saying that this was a good drama, but you get what I mean. An interesting drama is going to be one that brews over years and years, rather than just like, oh, someone said something bad on Twitter and I'm angry. The Gacha Destroyer of Prophecy will soon come. Yeah,
get it.
They're brewing, they're cooking.
Nuance and perspective. People can come to agreement after actually just talking to each other now. Things that seemed controversial,
people are actually talking, which is good
to discuss, is now just common sense. They used to be on top.
I do think that is a better thing as well. People just end up having a civil conversation about what they disagree with and what they do agree with. And it just ends up being better for the community overall, because people just kind of, they're like, oh, you disagree with that opinion? Okay, that's fine. We'll move on, kind of thing. Rather than just going like the full like extreme, being like, oh, you did this, you did that. Kind of going insane at people for absolutely no reason at all is kind of, bad. And I definitely think that people having just discussions and kind of having disagreements is much better. How are you doing? I'm doing very, very good. We're having a bit of a heated discussion at the moment, but anyways.
Topics, but now everyone just gets the point. Competition is important. Gacha rates matter. People enjoy different things. Shit talking and criticism are two different things. Player feedback actually matters, etc. When anything involving these sorts of topics come up, there was a good reason to discuss it because people wouldn't get it, but now people do. So now it feels like there's some meaning lost behind doing it in the first place. And why I feel that way is because I can't even remember the dumbass fucking arguments that these people used against me, because they were that out of touch.
I think that's like why a lot of people do forget a lot of this kind of short drama that goes on, is because it's usually the most stupid points ever, or just lies, It's just kind of, stuff going on with, oh, this is misinformation, that's misinformation. And obviously, if misinformation kind of, occurs, then people are just going to forget it. They're not going to remember misinformation because it's wrong. No one's going to remember that, and I think that's why a lot of people are forgetting a lot of these smaller dramas.
And I thought, how can you even think?
Gacha drama has been absolute nothing burgers, and it's pissed me. Yeah, I know, it's annoying that it's like kind of nothing burgers, but at the same time, I'm kind of relieved that it's nothing like bad, Because as much as, it's interesting and enjoyable to kind of whip out the popcorn, and for kind of a lot of, I don't know, it's enjoyable to see like people kind of going at it with each other, but whenever it starts to go into a lot of personal stuff, which we saw in previous dramas, I think that's when it starts to get bad, and I really hope that we don't see any of that soon. And I think having a lot of nothing burger kind of dramas is a little bit better because, again, it's just nothing, so people don't end up going too personal about it. Okay.
This way in the first place. They didn't make any sense, so there was no point in me trying to make sense of it, so I just forgot about it in the end. Because besides trying to make sense of it, these people aren't worth my time anymore.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Well,
people just forget
I'm now
them.
in a community that actually thinks the same way I do. So the people with brain cells that feel like engaging with these fucking dumbasses, they can now use their time on making those people look like idiots. I'd rather spend my time with people I actually feel like that are worth my time. The future of gacha content...
Yeah, I think that's also a massive thing that happened as well in the community too. As I was talking about with the Gacha Smack thing, I saw a lot of people posting on their Twitters of them being blocked by Gacha Smack and kind of using it as a trophy. Be like, hey guys, look at this, I got blocked by him, he acknowledged me. He's like, that's nothing to be kind of, you know, happy about. That means he knew you're a dumbass and that, you know, you're not worth his time and that he's just going to block you. And I think that's what a lot of content creators do now, including myself. You know, if you're being a dumbass and you're not really having a constructive kind of, you know, conversation or something like that, then, you know, we're just going to block you. There's no point in dealing with them. And I think, yeah, it was really funny seeing a lot of these people being like, hey guys, I got blocked by Gacha Smack. He finally recognized me after all these years. It's just like who cares? Who cares? You got blocked. Okay, what are you going to do now? Go on an alt account and look at his tweets still.
It's not necessarily bleak, but it's just very dull. And it's definitely very hard to constantly make content on video games where there's only so much you can do. So until a discussion resurfaces that I feel like is worth my time and I want to share my 2 cents on is actively being discussed, I don't think I'm gonna make that much gacha content. I'm making a video on a certain topic, and it will come up again because it literally happens every month. But until then, I don't really have that much else to talk about. So I'll see you guys next time when I find something that...
That was actually a very interesting video from CroWMa there. Again, he seems like a very cool guy. I think that the kind of title Gacha Content Creation is dying. I think you could kind of like turn that into Gacha Drama content is dying. I definitely don't think that Gacha content in general, especially news, especially talking about the game, doing trailer reacts or whatever, is dying. It's still doing great. But in terms of drama, if you are a kind of drama YouTuber or streamer or whatever, then you are going to struggle. You're going to struggle because there isn't that much drama to be talking about, and that's why it might seem like a lot of this content is dying. But overall, very, very good video. And yeah, you had some very good points there as well. If you guys want to go give that a like, I will go put that in chat. Hopefully that's the right link. But yeah, I'll go leave it in the link in the description below on the second channel as well whenever this video comes out. So definitely recommend going to check it out. Going to subscribe to CroWMa because they seem to be making a lot of cool videos. It's very well formulated. So yeah, very cool video.